We're going to make creme caramel. This to me is a dessert that is a lot easier than you might think it is.
So basically it's a baked custard served cold with caramel sauce.
With caramel sauce on it. These to me are the ideal things. These are an oven-proof tumbler thingy, heat tempered, heat proof, Arca Rock style thing. You can see the caramel, it's heat resistant. There's no
why do you need to see the caramel?
Because it looks really good.
I'm telling you, this is a proper creme caramel container.
First thing we've got to do is make the caramel, which we line the inside of the cups with. That's easy enough. You've just got to not lose your nerve during this part of the process, because there's a couple of things that you've just got to let happen. We need 3/4 of a cup of this sugar, right? Right, that's 3. Now, we get that on the stove, 1/4 of a cup of water over the top. I've got to turn that onto a medium to low heat. The thing is to keep it moving, but you're not stirring it. Don't stir, you swirl it.
Why can't you just let it melt?
Because if it sits in one spot, it'll burn. The other thing is that it's supposed to clarify. It's getting clear, isn't it, under the flame?
Yeah.
See?
It's not cloudy anymore.
Bring it to a rolling boil and jam the lid on it and leave it boiling for 2 minutes. I think that's near enough. Okay. Got to get it let it get really nice and dark. And once again, this is one of those bits where you don't want to panic. If you use that now, it looks dark, but it needs to be a lot darker.
Oh, that's been going for 6 minutes, and I think that's just turning.
I think it's just turning now, because you can see that the real darkness is starting to rise up on the bubbles. The bubbles aren't clear anymore, they're getting really dark. I think we should maybe leave it there. To our various receptacles.
Yes, I can smell caramel.
Can you smell it?
Yep.
Well, do you want to hop around the other side of me so I can pour? You want to pour it into the base, but then you want to get it up the sides. If you just tip it all into the base, it will just form a disc in the base.
Of toffee.
And it won't come out. It won't
melt.
Won't melt. It won't be in contact with the custard enough.
Okay, up the sides you go.
Okay. And I'm just going to roll it and get it right up the sides.
At least halfway up, yeah?
Yeah.
You've got to get this done pretty quickly because it's going to harden. Ooh. I suppose you could put this back on the heat to melt it a bit, to get the last of it out. I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
While that's melting, I don't know if you can see, but that's solidified. Yeah, see, I don't know if you can see that melting down the sides of the pan. Don't get it on yourself, it'll burn like a...
Do you want to make a coffee creme caramel? Coffee flavoured?
Yeah,
do you want to do
I think that would be lovely.
I usually have the espresso machine loaded up and ready to go for a quick coffee. We'll do it with some cream, some milk and a coffee mixture. But if in doubt, just use 3 cups of whole milk, basically. Forget about the coffee if you just want to make a plain one. You could just use instant coffee even, or, you know, slightly more respectfully, you could use filter coffee. We're going to make that up to a cup with cream. The reason we're using cream instead of milk in here is because the wateriness of the coffee is going to dilute the cream content.
Of the milk.
So we've got
yummy.
A cup of creamy coffee into the saucepan, and then on top of that I'm just going to put 2 cups of whole full fat milk. Okay. Just getting it till it starts to steam. And now,
not boiled.
5 large eggs. If you've got small eggs, you can maybe throw in an extra yolk or 2. Whisk that up until smooth with 3/4 of a cup of sugar. 3/4. And in with that, just a 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. Don't be fancy about it.
Really?
Just use fine and gently whisking. I usually just break the eggs.
Because you don't want to get air bubbles, which will create a frothy custard.
But I think that's okay. That's blended now. The sugar's mixed in with the egg. Yes,
it's starting to steam.
So off with that.
Whisking the whole time.
And just don't dump it in. Just tip it in.
Whisk, whisk, whisk. Otherwise you'll curdle the yolks.
Whisking though. Oh, we forgot to turn the oven on. This has got to go in a water bath, so we'll just put the kettle on to get some boiled water happening.
You got to put some vanilla in that.
So about 3/4 of a teaspoon of vanilla. Just tell me when, Lynn.
Yeah.
About that. Tell you what, I'm going to let you do
okay.
the rest of it.
Yep.
Okay.
Ooh. Right. So, the reason that you do a water bath is so that the custard doesn't come up to temperature too quickly and curdle. Put a tea towel in the bottom of your water bath so that the containers aren't in direct contact with the bottom of your water bath.
So now what are you going to do? You're going to fill them up, ladle the custard in.
Yep.
Through a sieve. I think you can fill it all the way up because it's not going to expand at all, is it?
It might puff up a tiny bit, but
Probably
then it'll
back
sink
down.
back, yeah.
It'll sink back down.
Container into the oven before you pour your hot water in to make your bain-marie.
Really?
Well, yeah, it's a bit easier to handle. It's less likely to spill.
How far up do you want the water to come?
Halfway.
40 to 60 minutes until they're set in the middle. How many minutes later?
On this side.
How many minutes later?
40 minutes.
40 minutes.
These are supposed to take between 40 and 60.
They're nowhere near it. Nowhere near it.
Yeah, I wonder if we need to turn it up a little.
Have I miscalculated the temperature?
I think you might have.
Well, let's recheck the temperature. So the answer is I got the temperature wrong. I
A serious miscalculation.
Yeah, it should be 325 Fahrenheit or 165 Celsius for 40 to 60 minutes.
But I actually think, quivery in the centre, they're done. So I'm going to go that way. I think that's a good test. You want to give them a quiver. They should
Slightly
be quivery.
quivery.
And when you turn them, they don't want to flow.
We chill them, cook
you need
them,
to
chill
wait
them.
at least 4 to 6 hours.
4 to 6 hours, yeah. Yeah, so for us that's going to mean we're going to have them tomorrow night. So, 24 hours later, the creme caramels have been through the fridge process. This is the one in Lenny's preferred bowl. This is the one in the bowl that I wanted to try out. Dip them into hot water. Don't want it to overtop the sides. I'll leave it there for like a minute. Look at that, it's cracked, the bowl's cracked. You take it out of the water, right? You get a knife, and you just loosen around the sides. You're trying to get the knife between the container and the pudding.
And then turning it out. Are you going to do the old upside down?
Moment of truth, I hope.
Oh, don't.
Gentle tap. Not so gentle tap. Come out. There we go.
The suction.
Yeah, see, it's kind of.
Oh, that's. So I'm not worried about the bit of toffee that's left in there. What?
Didn't quite get the knife in. We'll do the next one. Probably just need to let make a passage for some air to get in. So there we go.
At the table? Oh,
Okay.
we'll just eat it here.
No, at the table.
Okay.
How does it look inside? Bubbly inside?
No, not bubbly. It might be not quite. Oh, let me taste it and see. Lovely and creamy.
I would sort of think coffee and
lovely.
caramel might be too much, you know.
I like it. You taste it.
Do remember my little tip for getting the last bit of stubborn caramel out of your containers. If you can't clean it out effectively, put them all in a big pot, boil some water in the pot, and it'll just melt out.
Perfectly cooked. Well done us. Hooray.
So the great thing with this is you can flavour it like we did, or you can just use the 3 cups of milk.
With just a dash of vanilla for flavouring. But I do think you've got to be careful when you're making this to get your sugar caramel mixture nice and brown, because that rich caramelly flavour.
Yeah. You got to not, like I said, don't lose your nerve when you're making the caramel.
Yeah.
It sits there on one colour for quite a while, and then when it really starts to reduce down, bang, it gets dark, and that's when you need to pull the plug.
Just before it starts to burn.
I can go another one easily.
You're twisting my arm. I'm not going to let you have 2 and me only have 1.